All right. So I was thinking, you know how I made that announcement last week? I really pushing to like make pregnant Luna kind of a thing.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I don't know who it was. It was, I think it was Azure Kadabra, sent me a link to this dude. I can't remember his name, but he actually drew a picture of Luna, like, absurdly pregnant, but he also drew a picture of Princess Cadence, absurdly pregnant, and there's a whole story to this picture that I just sent it to you guys.
This one.
Yeah, where she's like pregnant with like twins or triplets or something, and so they fight. When she's trying to sleep, they fight, and they wake her up. So she casts the love spell to quiet them down, to settle them down, so she can go to sleep. And that got me thinking for a video game idea.
Oh, God.
Oh, no. And what have we said about you having ideas?
You remember? I'm sure.
This can't go.
I love it. I love the series. I'm pretty sure you two too do also. But you know Super Smash Brothers?
Of course.
Yes.
Oh, of course.
Brawl's my favorite. A lot of people love Melee. Okay, take Super Smash Brothers and take the idea of Hammer Space, which we presented last week to explain that whole sitcom series, how that would work. Take the idea of Hammer Space and put it in Cadence's vagina uterus thing.
God.
So he
Are you seriously? Whoa, are you seriously suggesting we have like a Hasbro All Stars, Super Smash, whatever the fuck, type game taking place in Cadence's vagina? I just want to clarify that's what you're suggesting, because I'd like to reiterate that we have told you you're not allowed to have ideas anymore.
No, but it won't be of Hasbro characters. It'll be of 4 fetuses. They're just fetuses. They don't even have names because we all know that fetuses aren't living things.
And they're fighting to see which one gets aborted.
No, they're just fighting because that's what you do in a uterus. I'm just assuming, going by the canon, this artist has presented, if there's more than one in a uterus, you just fight. You just duke it out.
Are we sure that they're actually fighting? I mean...
Oh, yeah. Hear me out. So, okay, you have these 4 uteruses. They're in this massive... They're in this... these 4 fetuses, and they're in this massive uterus, and there's, like, platforms and shit. I don't know. I don't know. The platforms could be, like, tumors or something. I don't know. And, like...
Right stage where the acid goes up and down.
And, like, they're all... But, see, the thing is that since they're fetuses, they're all attached to the walls with umbilical cords. So the umbilical cords will stretch and everything and rebound and all that. So, it'll be like a level in Super Smash Brothers, but you're always constantly being pulled towards the wall the further you try to run away from it. And you can actually use that to your advantage. Like, you use it to launch yourself at the other opponents, the other fetuses, to sort of beat them up, or you can grab them by their umbilical cords and like spin them around like a helicopter and throw them at other fetuses. And
So,
the goal of the game would be like, Canes is sleeping in bed, is resting, and your goal is to get as many points. There won't be a life bar or anything. The goal is to get as many points as you can doing combos and attacks before she wakes up and casts the love spell to calm you all down. So you have to do as much fighting as you can, and the more, but on the other hand, the more fighting you do, the more violent it is, the quicker she'll wake up and cast the spell. So you kind of have to balance it out. Try to get as many points and keep her sleeping as long as possible.
So I just like to... My roommate is sort of half listening in on our conversation over here. He's trying to make dinner. He just walked over to me. He's being really nice and trying to be quiet. So he wrote this out on his phone in a form of text message, and and came over to me and handed me a $5 bill, and the text message on his phone said, "Shut up and take my money."
Okay, but you haven't heard me out. But like, and actually, what you can do is you can like, so what you want to do is like keep all the findings sort of in the middle of the uterus. What we can do to sort of fuck your friends over is you can grab them by their umbilical cords or just grab them by their bodies and throw them at, because the more you hit the walls, the quicker she'll wake up. So there's this whole thing, and then like you can like do it halfway where like at some point in the game she like rolls over like onto her other side. So all of a sudden like everything's just going all over the place. There's like fucking fetuses flying over the place in like tanks and shit. I don't know what's all in the uterus when you're pregnant. And all of a sudden the levels is like entirely upside down. And you have to deal with that. So, and he's only offering $5? What a cheap ass.
Can we please cue the intro music?
No. Welcome to the Grand Cantalog Cavalcade in color, the one true pony podcast. All our other podcasts are blasphemy. And if you listen to any other pony podcast, you are excommunicated from the Church of GCC. Episode 30. I don't have a fucking name for this intro. I don't have a name for this episode either, so fuck off.
Well, we could just call it like we did last week and call it, I don't know what the fucking title will be. I'll think of one later, part 2.
There you go. Let's see, metal shit. We air Tuesday nights / Wednesday mornings on Celestial Radio. If you'd like to hear our episode over a day early and in higher quality, listen in at ponyfi.me starting at 11 p.m. Central Time, midnight Eastern. The other metal thing we have, I was kind of thinking about it, and I'm wondering if it'd be a good idea to either do a Facebook group or a Google Plus circle, just to have a place where like listeners can go and talk about the episode. Since Tumblr isn't really exactly the best place to go to have discussions, so I don't know whether to do a Facebook group or a Google Plus circle. So it's up to you guys. If you guys want either one of those, you can either make it yourself or let me or the show know, and we'll do it. So, Facebook or Google Plus is up to you. Oh, and by the way, if we do that, if whichever service we do decide on, we're going to be using alternate accounts. We don't want you fuckheads actually getting into, like, our personal shit. So, I guess, I know, like, and bullshit is eventually going to want to get a real job. Yeah. So, with that, we're on to our main topic. And bullshit, do you want to take over? Really quick. We're switching out the format. We're doing main topic first and then cool shits. So that way we don't run into the problem we had with part 1 of this episode.
All right, so last week we talked about our experiences in fan fiction, and we didn't really get to the other parts of the topic that I really wanted to cover. So what we'll do first is we'll wrap up any fics you guys want to talk about that you like, think need attention, good ones, whatever. We'll wrap that up, and then I'll go back into the other half of the topic that we didn't quite get to cover last week. So I'll start us off because I only have one. The last fic that I wanted to just sort of talk about briefly. It's not a fic actually. The link here is to a fic, but what I think everyone should do is if they like this fic, check out the artist, or rather the author. I said artist because it's on DeviantArt. The author is Butterscotch Sunday, and if you've been around, in fan fiction and have been paying attention to fan fiction, Butterscotch Sunday was one of the very first people to start doing sort of faux, cloppy, sensual stuff and shipping. One of the earlier shipping fics which was her first fic, and one of the early ones in the fandom was Swayback Mountain, which was about Applejack and Rarity, and has I love the title, but it's a really good, middle of the road shipping fic. What's cool about her is many of her fics take place in the same kind of universe. So, for instance, the one that I linked here, Much Ado About Nothing, which is absolutely hilarious, and everyone should check it out. A couple of the pairings that are established in other fics that she has written are actually part of this fic, and they're already established. So she has like a little universe going on, a little headcanon universe going on. You don't have to read all of the other ones she's done. In order to read this one, she just makes references that are kind of funny or silly. The Butterscotch Sundae is a really good shipping fanfic writer, and shipping is like 90% of what I read, so it's good shit. All right, MDeathMac, you can go.
All right, I have just one more. It's called Her Weight in Affection by Stoner Shy. And basically all it is Celestia is banished from Equestria. She's cut off from her entire hive, and she's in this strange new land. And it's a story about her adapting to this new land and these weird two-legged creatures that run around on it who are not as generous with the love as ponies are. They're really kind of, they keep to themselves, and she has to really use her cunning and tact and her vagina to get the love she needs to survive. It's not adult. There is some adult talk, but it's not really a clop fic or anything.
It's just rated everyone here. Yeah,
it's rated for everyone. It's implied that she's had to do some things to get the love she needs. And yeah, it's kind of funny and pretty cute. So yeah. And now on to Saley, who has like 50 fanfics.
That's not that bad.
No, go ahead.
No, go.
Yeah, go nuts.
Let's do this shit.
All right, well, all of the ones that I picked, including Divergence from yesterday by Seattle Light, which I did last show, all of the ones that I wanted to pick are ones that, had an impact on me when I was reading, ones that I remember fondly. So I've got like 4 here. The first one is A Terrible Secret by Metal Scroll Chaos, which was actually the first one first fanfic I read on EQD. That was the very first one. Like, okay, why not? So it was short, and it was about Rainbow Dash. So I figured, why not? And it's it's something that I've headcanon pretty hard since then. Something that's just kind of stuck in my head. But basically, if you can tell from the picture, but it's about Rainbow Dash and the fact that despite her name, she actually doesn't have rainbow hair. Matter of fact, her hair is completely white. Is completely colorless. And she has
scandal!
And she has spent her entire life hiding that from everybody, and it's about basically she gets put in a situation where she can't hide it, and she's trying desperately to hide it from her friends, and what happens, with that. And it reads just like an episode, which I thought was really nice. It reads just like an episode, even with the corny, this is what I learned thing at the end, and it's really easy on the senses. It's it's silly and kind of campy and whatnot, and I really enjoyed it. It was a really nice and light, sort of slice of life thing.
Well, see, her problem is that she's putting the paint directly on her hair. You're not supposed to dye your hair like that.
It's how it works.
Dumbass.
With rainbows. Just paint, just whoop, and there you go.
3 out of 10.
That's every rating from you ever. 3 out of 10.
Hey, that's how I tip too. It's like high or low. $3 is all she gets. Okay, sorry.
It's fine. The next one is Nightfall at Sweet Apple Acres by Midnight Shadow. It's incomplete as of yet, though. I think the last chapter or two haven't been written yet, which it's been a long time, I'm to think. But it's one of those, between season 1 and season 2 things. And it hasn't, been caught up yet. But it's a sad fic, and it's basically outlines the sort of last events of each of the main six's lives. How do you say that? And basically, it's as it seems, you get to see them die. And some of them it's kind of sad, and some of them it's really dramatic and whatnot. And none of it's like horrible or anything. It's not meant to be. It's meant to be really bittersweet and whatnot. And there is one for each one except for Twilight. Yeah, I think Twilight's the last one. There's a little bit of shipping, a little bit of minor shipping involved. I think there's some Fluttermack in there. I think it's been a long time since I read. I think there's some Fluttermack. I think there's some marrying of. I remember Twilight getting married. I don't remember to whom. But it's minor details. It doesn't really affect the story, Doesn't really affect the story all that much, Mostly it's just focusing on the events surrounding. That's more background stuff. It's really nice to read, and it's really emotional. Depending on who your favorite is, depends on really which one will get to you. Some are weaker, some are not, but in my opinion. But there's something for everybody if you like sad fics. Let's see, Solar Flare by Drag Griffin. I actually personally worked on this one. And let's see. I was an editor for this, and it was hard, but it's a good story. It's very compelling, and it basically outlines the war of the night between Celestia and Luna, or Nightmare Moon, and the aftermath of what happens. So you have Nightmare Moon's coup, and you have Celestia fighting with her and losing pretty badly, and then making her come back, and Luna gets sent to the moon. And they figure out, then Celestia has to fix everything, So yeah, it's really mature. It's very dramatic. There's a lot of blood. There's a lot of death, and it's not a very happy story. But it's got a heavy impact, and it was a very impressive piece of work to be involved with. And Dragger is a very good author. So it's one that I spent a lot of time with, and I do recommend it. And lastly, I have Party of None by Dotrook, and this is a good example of grimdark done right. There's no blood, there's no guts, there's no nothing. It's just a retelling of Party of One going in a cupcake's direction. But not quite all the way to the end. So it's sorry, I'm trying to listen to things in the background and I'm getting distracted. But yeah, there's no blood, there's no guts. It has to do with guys. Anyway. But anyway, Party of None.
I'm trying to podcast.
I'm trying to talk here. Yes. Stop it. You guys can cut that.
No, that shows that you're an actual human being.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, basically, what it is that Pink is having her thing, and for the Party of One episode, and Dash comes in, and it goes into Cupcake's territory, and Pinky kind of gets, really close with Dash, but she ends up getting away. So the entire story is Pinky chasing Dash around Sugar Cube Corner and around, her home and whatnot, and trying to get her and coming really close. And the end is the best part. I can't spoil that for you, but it's such a hilarious. I thought it was a hilarious twist, and I just it was like, my God, that's amazing. It was perfect, and it's a great way to end a dark story like that. So it's a great example that you can do dark and you can do scary without. You can do all that horrific stuff without actually being horrific. Because there's a big difference between horror and terror. Between, being horrified, which means having a visceral reaction, and being terrified, which means having that sort of apprehension. And that's the whole story, is Rainbow Dash's terror of what's going on and her trying to escape. So it's a really nice, really very, it gives you a lot of those feels. You feel very, you empathize with her, and you're on the end, you're holding on the entire time. And then the end just hits you like a sledgehammer, and you're like, oh God. It's a good fic, and it was one of the grimdark fics that I really liked, that I really thought was worthy of that label. So, most of the time they just kind of go over the top.
Nice. Well, I favored all of them, so I'll check them out in due time.
I just opened all of them in a link and just minimized the window for later.
That's how I do for later.
Oh yeah, and also I finally found that Twilestia Tumblr.
Oh yeah.
Finally.
All right, so we've gotten sort of all the way that all the fics that we did that immediately spring to mind, when we think of fanfics. A point of discussion I find in a lot of comment sections on fanfics are people who tend to stick to one just sort of genre of fanfic. And so I actually have a list here of the really common genres, and I just want to go through them and ask you guys, how you feel about them.
Are you going to be giving your opinion too?
I will do it, but after you guys go first.
Okay.
I tend to like everything, so I'm a fanfic guy, so there isn't really much I can say in that. I like it, but a lot of people have this view that they have to that like, this is my favorite kind of fic, and all other fics are lame and useless, and I'll never read them. And I think that's kind of a destructive view of fan fiction, of stories in general. But so I'm just going to go through this short list here, and then we'll get on to our last topic, which I'm sure will eat up most of our time.
Yeah.
The first one here I have is episode fics. Episode fics are just completely normal fan fictions that are so like the canon they could probably fit in the show. Just a normal story. I think Staley, you linked one that you said was like that. I think it was A Terrible Secret by Metal Scroll Chaos.
Yeah, it runs. It sounds like the story. It runs. It runs like it reads like an episode, like if you were reading a transcript of an episode, but it was actually written in prose.
Mm-hmm.
And if it was actually, that's how it reads. It reads like that. Like I said, it even has the little moral at the end and everything. And it's basically it is basically an episode slice of life.
Yeah, episode fics that's what we sort of, Apple Cider tends to call them that. They have other names for them, but basically the concept I'm getting at is it's a fic that is just emulates the original content, doesn't attempt to do anything more other than just a part of a story that the original content hasn't done yet. Your thoughts?
Oh, mine.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
We're waiting for you.
I'm not a huge fan of show-style fanfics. Mostly because I like fanfics because they will put the characters or the world or the setting or the theme in a very different situation than what you won't find from the original source material. So, I mean, I don't hate episodic fanfics. It's just I don't really go after them because they're really not my style. Yeah. Again, it's like I like fan content because you can take the original content and just sort of blow it out of proportion or put it in a different light or situation.
Mm-hmm. As far as episodic fanfic, the episode style fanfics, I think they're a good place to start. If you've never read a fanfic before, I think that's where you need to start, and that's where you need to, that's where you'll find the most enjoyment.
Oh, totally, because it's most like the episodes.
Yeah, if you just want more content, if you just want, all right, you just blew through the season, or the season just ended, and you just want a little more, that's a great way. Or if you've never read, God damn, my English is terrible today. If you've never read a fanfic before, that's a good place to do it because it's a lot of fun, and you get a little, you get a little bit more of what you're looking for. You're not going to be shocked. You're not going to be surprised. You're not going to have to worry about all those feels that you have to do with sad fics or grimdark or any of that other stuff. It's another you might go into comedy since the show is funny, and that might be another place to go from there. But it's got the least risk, I think, which makes it good for people just starting out, or makes it good if you just want something light. You don't have to deal with you don't really have to invest so much emotionally in it, which makes it good for short fics and that kind of thing, a quick reading. So I like them for that. I like them because I can just sit down and read them in 20 minutes, and it's fun. There you go. And it's a good stress relief, where reading some fics can actually be more stressful. Now, it can be emotionally rewarding, but just like, a book that's really intense, sometimes it can be a bit draining if you do it at the wrong time.
Yeah, I like episode fics, like what you said. They're a good place to start, especially in something like this where the episodes are very formulaic. There's a lesson, there's obvious conflicts, and you have a set number of characters already. It's very easy for some people to create an episode fic because the formula is already set out there. You've seen it, over 40 times with each episode. So it is a very good place to start. Moving on, the next one is my favorite, the one I read the most, which is romance. So, Death Mike, I guess you can go first.
Romance? Are we including like shipping in this and Clopfics?
Clop I put at the end. This is just shipping.
Just shipping?
And as a blanket, it also includes romantic comedies, but things that are centered mostly around romance.
Not really. I'm also not really into that. It's just kind of a theme that I never really got into, and when I do see it, I kind of get nervous or feel really awkward. I guess that's just my old-fashioned gender fucking
Privileged white male.
Yeah. Where it's like, that's woman stuff. That's grocery store checkout aisle reading material.
The stuff the wife reads when her husband isn't home.
Yeah, or he's too busy sleeping because he makes all the money while she just cooks and cleans, makes babies.
Fucking terrible, man. I don't even know you, man. I don't even know you. What the fuck?
All right, you go.
As far as the romantic comedies, I'm kind of okay. I can't think of any ones that are particularly special, but I'm cool. I'm just cool with comedy in general. So romantic comedies, I'm all right with. I just can't think of any one in particular or any specific reason why, other than it's comedy. Mm-hmm. So,
all right, silly.
Well, romance is a weird thing as far as the genre goes, because I don't consider it an actual genre, and here's why. Romance stories tend to go one of two directions. There is the sort of cloppy, or not necessarily cloppy, but, sort of shippy, I didn't think I loved you, but now I love you, and let's suck face. And that's fine if that's all you want to do with a fic. That's okay. That's what I would consider a ship fic, where the strict purpose of the fic is to get two characters together. And I guess, you can have romance, where it's unrequited, or they do manage to win them in the end, or they don't manage to win them in the end, and you can have that be the weight of the story, but it would still fall under comedy or tragedy or drama or whatever. It's still a subset of something else. And I'm kind of rethinking this, because I can think of pure romance fiction. I don't mind it. I like reading it, especially if it's a pairing that I like, or if it's an interesting story. But it takes a lot. It takes a lot more. It's a lot easier for me to get into it if it's sort of just a major thread rather than the backbone of the story. So if it's if the romance is involved with part of the story, like you have two ponies in the story, like say Applejack and Rarity get lost in the woods or something, and the main conflict of the story is them versus the woods. Okay, so they're trying to get out of the woods. Okay, and the main thread of the story is them and their hardships getting out of the woods. And if there's a romance thread going through that or around that, and there's conflict between them, like a secondary conflict, I can see that. But to me, that doesn't make it a romance story. That just makes it a story with romance. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. I'm actually a proponent of, I really like, if a story has a bit of romance in it, I like it more than I would without that otherwise. Mm-hmm. Most of the fanfic I read, though, is tagged romance, where the pairing is the primary point of the story. And aside from that, mostly I also read romantic comedies, where the comedy is just a driving force in the pairing, or a driving force in the story, rather, where the pairing is the main focus of the story. I think why I like them so much is because they're horrendously formulaic. I like that. I like that especially when people break the formula, because it's like you expect one thing and then something else happens.
You get blindsided. That's always fun in a story.
Yeah. I don't know, there's something just sort of inherently fun about reading a cute story about two ponies that fall in love in the most ridiculous, unrealistic manner.
Oh god. That reminds me of another story. I just remembered it. Oh God, what's the name? It was a big favorite on EQD, and I'm trying to remember. It's a Twixie story, and I'm trying to remember what it's called. The Ballad of Twilight Sparkle.
Ah, yes.
Oh God.
Sophisto's favorite.
But it's, I mean, say what you want about Seth, but it's a fucking hilarious story. It has it has one of my favorite lines in it. Oh my God, I can't believe, or oh my Celestia, I can't believe I cast all over her face. And I just fucking rolled over and died right there. I'm like, okay, I can't do this anymore. It's an amazing story because it's just ridiculous. It's a crack ship to end all crack ships, and it's amazing. It works for no apparent reason. There's no reason for it. And it's ridiculous. And that's why I like it. I like stories that are just completely out there, but believable because it's just so absurd. It's like, okay, I can see how you could get caught in something like that. Because real life doesn't make sense either. You know, so. It is an amazing story, and I do like it when they completely blow things out of the water like that.
All right, let me move on to the next one, which I sort of ties into the first one, but doesn't necessarily have to, which is comedy. And this includes things like crack comedy, romantic comedies, I guess, to a certain extent, but just sort of comedy as a blanket term for funny shit. Deathback?
Oh, I hate comedy.
I saw that coming from a mile away.
Fuck fun. Well, yeah, I love comedy. I mean, as long as it doesn't cause direct harm to anyone real, I'm cool with it. As long as it makes me laugh, I enjoy it. Obviously, because I'm laughing. Yeah, it's like with, I know, well, actually I'll save that for when we talk about it, because then I'll end up just repeating myself. If you add it to any other genre, I'll definitely probably enjoy it a lot more. Even like grimdark or sad, because then you have black comedy or dark comedy, which I enjoy immensely. So yeah, of course I love fucking comedy. What else should I say? Okay. That's right. That's right.
All right.
Yeah. You sound like Kim Jong-il when he laughs. All right, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I like comedy too. I mean, it's. I mean, there's really nothing you can say for it. Like you said, it's just there. It's there when you need it. It's there when you want it. It enhances most situations, not all, but in the hands of a good writer, a little bit of comedy can spice up any story, even the most serious story, because it has that sort of blindside effect. It can knock you on. Now, if you do it wrong, it can knock you completely out of immersion, but if you do it right, it just kind of knocks you on your head a little and you're like, okay.
Sorry, comedy is not really a genre. It's more of a trope. Of like an all-encompassing trope. That's why I'd say comedy is, if you want me to actually think about it. Sorry about that.
It's fine. It is like there are main like genres of comedy. There are stories that are chiefly comedy, but there are also a lot of you're right. There are a lot of ways to pepper comedy into a story to enhance it, or to keep immersion or to break immersion, and it's a lot of it's neat seeing what a good writer can do with a little bit of comedy in a strange situation. And it adds a lot of realism too, because you can't be Warhammer 40K all the time, even in a grimdark fic. There are times when sometimes you laugh. You shouldn't laugh, and sometimes you laugh anyway because it's just so ludicrous. They're just too ridiculous. Also, if you try too hard, then you can bend things into comedy, not by, something that you wanted to do. So that can happen inadvertently if you're trying too hard. But yeah, I mean, I like it. I mean, I like reading a good comedy stories. There's just not enough of them.
Yeah.
All right. So the next one, I'm sure I don't have too much experience with this one, but there are a lot of good fics that involve this, which is science fiction. Sci-fi is there's a lot more sci-fi based fics in this fandom than any other community that I've been a part of, which is actually really weird to me, because I've been a part of a lot of sub communities in fanfiction.net, but you don't really see a whole lot of sci-fi unless the source material itself is sci-fi, like for instance, Invader Zim. But so I don't actually read a whole lot of sci-fi, but I do like a lot of what I read. But MDef, Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, it is kind of weird because if anything, the series is set in a fantasy universe. But again, like in actual literature or in mass market literature, sci-fi is almost always paired with fantasy. It's, sci-fi and fantasy. But yeah, it is. I can't explain it, but yeah, it is really odd that there is so much sci-fi in the My Little Pony fanfic universe, and I really, really enjoy sci-fi. I mean, that's my jam. I got my dad's a huge sci-fi nerd. He grew up reading books by like Kurt Vonnegut and Frank Herbert, and watching Star Trek. And he exposed me to a lot of science fiction literature and shows, like, and I still read a lot of science fiction, and I enjoy it more so than fantasy, which I think that might be why there's so much sci-fi, is because the people who are writing it are big fans of sci-fi themselves. It's just they're just co-opting the My Little Pony universe into it. And if anything, there's a subgenre of sci-fi I really enjoy that I've recently started picking up and reading more and more of it, that I think fits in really, really well into the My Little Pony universe, is steampunk. And there's a lot of related artwork that I see that I really enjoy. But if anything, it's like, yeah, I know earlier I said that there's a My Little Ponies, the original show is really kind of fancy, but there's also a lot of like steampunk elements and tropes in the original source material. And steampunk seems like a really good fit for the My Little Pony universe. So, I don't know, that's what I have to say about it. I really like sci-fi. I especially enjoy steampunk. So, there.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right. Well, the thing that you have to remember about sci-fi and fantasy is that sci-fi and fantasy are the exact same thing.
Oh, totally. yeah, at the base level, you can replace a laser pistol with a wand, and they do the same thing.
It has nothing to do. It's do you explain it with technology or do you explain it with magic? That's the only difference between sci-fi and fantasy. It doesn't matter. Do you have enchanted armor or do you have technological armor? Are you deflecting spells or bullets? It does. That's the only difference. Or laser pistols. It doesn't matter. So I mean that's a common thing, and you can really bend it anyway. Now, I love sci-fi, I really do. I have been a big fan of sci-fi since I was a child. I read a lot of science fiction books, Arthur C. Clarke, H.G. Wells. I read a bunch of different series. I especially enjoyed stuff involving space travel, space exploration. Watched Star Trek, Star Wars. Big fan of Star Trek and Next Generation specifically.
Oh, totally. I love Next Generation.
Yes. Of course, that was the one that was going when I was young, when I was little. So,
same as me.
Yeah, I mean, that was the late 80s? That was the right time.
That was late 80s, early 90s, Jean-Luc Picard, Earl Grey tea, Q.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So you had all that, and that was a big thing. And then later on, when Stargate came on, watched all the way through that. So, I mean,
like Firefly.
Mm-hmm. Firefly.
Oh, and anime, just so much of anime is science fiction.
The thing is that now steampunk you can get away with, and there's some necessary fantasy elements in stories, but I am not at all interested in sci-fi fan fiction in this particular setting, because I think it doesn't mesh at all with the source material. It really breaks my immersion, and it generally goes into the realm of crossover whenever I see it. And it just makes it really difficult for me to wrap my head around. Now, I had tried to get around that. I've seen a few fics that try to get around that by pushing things into the future or exploring, because Twilight tends to have a gearing towards science despite being the element of magic. She tries to explain everything with science, or scientific methods at least. And, so pushing her exploring science or science up and coming in Equestria and whatnot. And that's interesting to see. But I have yet to see a purely sci-fi fic with ponies that I've been interested in. There might be one out there, and there might be a few out there that push me in that direction, but, it's not what I go looking for. I'll just say that.
Well, it's like, really make sci-fi work, and My Little Pony will be to, push it into the future, or like in the fanfic I plugged last episode was pushing it from the past. The Anno Domini, it's something where the science fiction element is actually an artifact from the past that comes into the present My Little Pony universe. And what I'm trying to do with the fanfic I'm trying to work in is to sort of keep the MOP universe in the present, but force an external entity upon the My Little Pony universe, and then just seeing what happens. Where I guess you could say that it is a crossover, but it's just So the angle, I wanted to write a science fiction, story, and so the way I did is that I have it coming from, I have a external entity from outer space coming into the My Little Pony universe and wrecking shop. Yeah.
All right, Ben.
Yeah.
All right. So I have nothing to add because I don't really read that much of those. But the next one, I'm not sure if either of you read too much, but there's quite a bit of this, particularly with Dr. Hooves, which is crossovers.
Ugh.
And crossovers crossovers are an interesting thing because they require that you be active, or not rather active, that you have knowledge of two different pieces of source material. So most crossovers service a niche part of any community. I recall once I wrote a crossover I read a crossover between an old anime about dogs and Happy Tree Friends. And I think I and the author were the only two people who had ever seen both of those. So it's hard to do a crossover unless you're doing something like Doctor Who's, where just about 90% of Tumblr has seen Doctor Who, and all of your friends watch My Little Pony. Crossovers are very hard to produce, and I have a lot of respect for people who do them well. It's just I don't read very many of them, so.
What really surprises me is that there hasn't yet been, at least I haven't noticed, and thankfully I haven't noticed, a lot of Homestuck in My Little Pony crossover, which is probably a good thing. I'm not a really big fan of crossovers at all. I don't know why, it just doesn't seem to... It seems when you try to force two separate universes into each other, it just doesn't work out. It's a lot like the great comedian Dave Attell said. It's like you got whiskey and you got cotton candy. They're great separate. Don't mix them together. Then you get a really sad clown. It's like I see a lot of Team Fortress 2 and My Little Pony. And I just don't really get a good feel for that kind of crossover, just because it doesn't really seem really well thought out.
I've seen some good ones.
The one good crossover again is Fallout Equestria, and that's because she took the general ideas of Fallout, the Fallout universe, and put them into her story along with My Little Pony. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing, is she took just the base ideas of Fallout, the conflict and the wastelands and all that, and put it into My Little Pony universe. Whereas like with Team Fortress 2, it just seems like they're just making the Team Fortress 2 universe and just shoving ponies into it, and it doesn't really seem to make sense. Well, I guess that's because the Team Fortress 2 universe doesn't really make sense.
Well, as far as that goes, and I'm speaking for the Equestrian Study channel, and for the editors and assistants there is nothing that can make us bang our heads on the desks harder than a crossover. We hate them. We detest them. There are so many of them. Because crossovers, they're easy. Okay? Anybody can do a crossover. And the thing is that you have two distinct kinds of crossovers. You've got insertion and an adaptation. Insertion is where you say, hey, let's take this source material and do it with ponies. That is extremely frustrating. Because one, for anyone to actually be interested in it, they have to be familiar with the source material. Now, Fallout Equestria, I've never actually read it or any of its ilk. To be honest, I don't like Fallout. It's just not something that interests me. I might play. I've got both of them. I've actually given both of them on two separate occasions, 3 and New Vegas. So I might play them at some point in the future, but it's just not my bag. But you never know. You never know. I'm not going to rag on them.
Well, just add some higher res graphics, textures to them, and I think you might enjoy them. That way you don't have to worry about the creepy face.
Graphics don't bother me, but it's not my game type. But yeah, the thing is that one thing I've heard about Fallout Equestria is that you don't have to have any knowledge of Fallout whatsoever to actually understand what's going on or to enjoy it. Because everything's explained, everything is general enough that you don't really have to know any specifics, which is something that insertions suffer from, because if they leave anything out, you're going to be completely lost. And if they don't leave anything out, if you already know the source material, it's just a bunch of retreading. If you don't, it may not make sense. They may be shoehorning things in there. And, oftentimes it's just ludicrous. It's just an excuse for ponies to be wielding keyblades, for instance. I mean, that's generally, this'll be awesome, and they go for it. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to do that. But the thing is that generally, if that's all you're looking for, it's just going to come off as completely not compelling, not interesting, and just hackneyed, just hacked together. But if you do an adaptation, like you said, you take an idea, you take a concept, and you do it, and you apply it to Equestria. You apply it to the universe that you're actually writing for. Because if you're writing a pony fic, if you're writing about ponies, you're writing for the pony fandom. Okay? That's who you're looking towards. That's who you need to apply the extra elements to. So if you're looking to make, say, a Batman crossover with ponies, like the Mare-Duel comic. Mare-Duel was a perfect example. A perfect example of this. Because that's basically what it was. It was a crossover actually in the show. You take an idea. Now, you may want to use a bigger city, or you may want to use Canterlot, or whatever. Or you may want to make a city of your own, or, do this thing, or, have them visiting somewhere or whatnot. But you take an idea, a masked crusader, or, this kind of thing, superheroes, or, the drama elements, and you take that and you overlay it over the existing universe. You don't have to have each and every detail that's already from the source material and insert it into this material that you want to add it to, because it's not going to work. It's not going to mesh. It's like sticking a square peg in a round hole. Yes, you can get it in there, but it's not going to be easy, and it's not going to have very good results. So what you have to do is you got to be creative about it. I think that's the big thing, is that when you adapt to work like that, when you cross over, you have to be creative about it, and you've got to be flexible too. And when that happens, you can come up with really rewarding things, but more often than not, they just try to shoehorn things in, and it becomes really not very pleasurable to read, very boring or stilted, and just not very compelling. So I don't like crossovers. No editor or pre-reader that I've ever seen really likes crossovers unless they're from a fandom that they like themselves. Then you might get away with it, but it's only going to appeal to that very small niche. Whereas if you want it to appeal to a general audience, you've got to make the result more general. So you've got to take the elements rather than the actual plots and put it in there. And that's why crossovers have a really bad rap as far as the writing community goes. I don't know what other portions of the writing community, but the places that I've been around, nobody really likes crossovers. That's my spiel on that.
All right.
I think it's pretty universal. We take a huge shit on crossovers, especially in insertion ones.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Unless it becomes a clot fic, then it's different. Different kind of insertion.
Heavy ex Celestia.
The next two sort of go together, and that's dark and gore. They go together a lot, but I think that's incorrect. Grimdark doesn't necessarily have to have gore in it for it to be grimdark. Grimdark is more of a kind of psychological based horror, and gore is more of a physical based horror. But we often lump the two together, so I figured we'd just do them together. So go ahead, MDefWick.
Yeah. Well, I guess in the fanfic world it's called grimdark. In the realm of real literature, it's called cosmicism or Lovecraft style writing. The general sense of psychological horror, a sense of hopelessness, of what's it called when you come to the realization that you're ultimately, it is cosmicism. You're ultimately just a flea on the ass of the universe. Not even. I really, really enjoy those. And it's kind of for a really weird reason. I enjoy them because I feel like the ideas that are brought about because of it, I can somehow get above those. It's like the reason I enjoy Lovecraft so much is that it makes me angry. It's like, and I know I'm totally going outside the realm of fan fiction here, but basically grimdark is Lovecraftian, so I can talk about Lovecraft. I like the fact that Lovecraft or any of the writers who style themselves like it, I like being able to say, no, fuck you. We can kill Cthulhu. We can determine our place in the universe. We can determine our place in the situation. It gives me something to rally against, I suppose, if that makes any kind of sense, which it probably doesn't. It's like I don't really enjoy grimdark Lovecraftianism to be scared. I just love it just because, it gives me something to think about and get angry about. And gore, I'm not a huge fan of it, just because it gives. It's weird. I seek it out, but I don't enjoy it. I guess that's where the sense of fear, the enjoyment of fear, comes from. Where people just they enjoy playing Slender Man or enjoy playing Amnesia.
They enjoy being grossed out or being frightened.
Yeah, and it's like, I hate gore. I hate watching, it's like Species and Species 2, yeah, those are really shitty movies, but the idea of just exploding women and the whole in Aliens, the chest bursters, and just the whole reproductive cycle, the xenomorphs, and in all the zombie movies of people just getting ripped to shreds and just eaten alive and all that, just horrify and disgust me, but yet I seek it out. I enjoy looking forward and watching it and being horrified by it. So, yeah, that.
Well, as far as, and I've done a big spiel on this, so stop me if I go on too long, because this is a hot topic that has been brought up several times in equestrian study, and grimdark encompasses, and I agree with you in a sense, but I disagree, because I think your idea of what grimdark is extremely narrow. Far more narrow than what I've experienced as far as the literature goes. As far as what's considered grimdark, grimdark is actually composed of about 6 or 7 or 8 or more subgenres of fiction. There's weird what's we know as weird fiction, which is Lovecraftian. There's also suspense. horror, tragedy, grit, gray fics, which are very dark, but are like black humor, that kind of thing. There are glue fics or snuff fics, gore fics, that kind of thing. There are what would be considered, well, I suppose you can consider those suspense or mystery, but what it would be considered shock in some areas, like if you've ever seen The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, that's mystery. It would be considered grimdark if someone wrote something similar to that in pony fandom, because it has elements of murder, it has elements of rape and very dark things, and there's a lot involved, and a lot of people disagree on what grimdark actually is, because it's a very broad term for a bunch of things that are not necessarily mutually inclusive, and are not necessarily mutually exclusive, but kind of overlap with one another. So you do have fics that are Lovecraftian. You do have fics that are dealing with a larger power, or something that's frightening, or something that's so alien or so large that you have no hope of comprehending or fighting it. But you also have things that are just sad, kind of tragic, that deal with anger, deal with murder and execution and various other things. Things, like scoot abuse, for instance, dealing with domestic abuse, dealing with physical abuse or mental abuse. You have things that are yes, yeah, go ahead.
No, I'd fit most of that more into like drama.
Mm-hmm. But if there's death, or if there is significant injury, or if there is significant violence, it often gets lumped into grimdark.
Yeah.
So it's in the
grimdark. Grimdark,
yes.
If I may interject, grimdark is actually a term I had never heard of until this community.
It actually comes from the 40K fandom, believe it or not.
But before this fandom, dark for me would have been Lovecraftian, and the rest would have actually been drama. But that's simply because I'm going off the genre tags we used on fanfiction.net, which we all know is not really the best website to judge anything off of. But I can see where you're both coming from.
Yeah, well, well, and it's like, going back, it originates in the Warhammer 40K universe, which happens to be extremely Lovecraftian. The tagline for Warhammer 40K is, "In the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war." And that's I'm like in bullshit where it's like I never really heard the term until, My Little Pony fanfics. And, I went and searched for the term, and that's the term I found, and it's like, just hopelessness and misery.
Mm.
And so the whole thing of, drama and all that just sort of goes into another genre entirely for me.
Right. Well, I mean, that's sort of a misperception because of EQD's tagging system. That was the tag that they used originally before the dark tag was implemented. And I'm not sure where it originated before that. It may have came from Pony-chan originally. I'm not sure. Or it may have came from Ko originally. I'm not 100% sure. But the first place I had ever seen it was on EQD, and that was the tag that they used before they started branching it into light, grimdark, or just plain dark. But that I have seen it as it's a very inaccurate term. It's a catch-all for a lot of different things, and I don't like it. I don't like it as a term because I don't think it's accurate at all. Because I think there's a lot more there than a lot of people give it credit for. Now, I like certain aspects of it. I do enjoy good dark fic. I do enjoy Lovecraftian elements. I also enjoy dramatic fics that are, when things are a bit higher stakes, people die, families die, things happen. Gore, not so much. I hate movies like Saw. I hate movies like that they're all horror and no terror, as I was saying before. You have terror, which is suspense, the apprehension that you feel, the fear that you feel when something bad's about to happen. And then you have horror, which is revulsion, which something horrible is happening and you are reviled, have a visceral physical reaction to it. And the problem in movies and in a lot of writing, people who try to write that stuff, such the premier example, which is Cupcakes, is that it's nothing but horror. There is no terror that anything is about to happen, or if there is, it's very small. It's not the focus. The focus is the gore. The focus is the depiction of what's occurring, which makes, you've got to have fear, you've got to have terror, and you've got to have, you have to have that uneasiness. You have to have that in addition to the visceral reaction. Because if you're left with a visceral reaction, it just ends up being very shallow. And, writing aside, writing quality aside, glue fics are nothing but visceral reaction, which makes them very unfulfilling and kind of funny sometimes. So... that's the kind of thing. It's got to have a lot of depth, and for it to be enjoyable. Now, dark elements aren't a bad thing. They can have dark elements, and it can give a lot of depth to a fic that isn't in that direction necessarily. Dark humor, or oh my god, the shit just got real. That can always be a good moment. But something that's overarching, it has to have a lot more depth. More work is required in that sort of thing to make it good rather than just the shock value. I think I'll leave that there because, like I said, I could go on this for hours and we don't have hours. So.
I'd really like to see you read Hellstrom's Hive by Frank Herbert. It's one of his books that kind of just fell by the wayside thanks to Dune coming out. It's an extremely disgusting book. It's basically about a secret cult or religion of humans who live deep underground and who basically model their entire biology and society on hive insects like ants or bees. Mm-hmm. So, and they've been doing this for several centuries to a point where there's actually individual casts of humans. You have like the brood mothers who are sort of in command, and all they do is direct the hive and just breed. And then you have like the workers, and they're tailored to do work. And then you have soldiers and like commanders, and like the commanders are all female because they command by releasing pheromones and hormones into the atmosphere to control the soldiers. And the scary thing is that the imagery you're getting is of insects, but then you realize they're human beings.
Now, did you say this was an erotic fiction? Because that's what I heard.
No, this is a disgusting science fiction.
Wow, that's what I'd really like to see an erotic fiction like that, though. That sounds hot.
That's what I said. I mean...
Well, yeah, because it is a very matriarchal society that they have, and there's a lot of talk of Frank Herbert, Frank Herbert, along with other science fiction authors, really had a strange fascination with sexuality, way ahead of their time. These were writers in the 50s and the 60s they were, for their time, they were exploring things that were very, very strange for the society at the time. It's like Frank Herbert was really into, this whole hive mind mentality and the genetic enhancement of humans to their limits, and stuff like that. And I'm trying to remember the name of the other science fiction author, because he wrote the guy who wrote Starship Troopers. What the fuck is his name? I'm looking for it. Robert A. Heinlein. I don't know if you guys remember this guy. This guy wrote a lot of books for teens, a lot of young adult books, such as Starship Troopers and The Moon is a Harsh Mistress. That's another. If you're kind of looking for a weird, oddly erotic kind of book, go read Moon is a Harsh Mistress, because it deals a lot with like line marriage and extended families and the sexual bonding of that. Where it's like you're not married to one person, you're married into a family. So. And he really fascinates on the sexual aspect of that. Heinlein, even though he was such a popular and well-beloved writer of kids and young adult science fiction, he had a strange fascination with mother-son incest.
Okay.
That's present in a lot of his books.
I'm taking notes.
Don't we all, really?
And he explored many sexual aspects in the 1950s with his wife. I'd say if he was around now, he'd probably be in a polygamous marriage with both genders, because it would be seen as more socially acceptable now. But he had explored many different things, and you kind of have to be careful with which books you read, because a lot of them are either really all about equality, like The Moon is a Harsh Mistress, or they have like really strict gender roles and everything, like Starship Troopers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But that's totally off topic. So yeah, if you want to look at like weird sort of incest kind of things, check out Moon is a Harsh Mistress. Also, it has a really good it goes into a really deep, detailed discussion about terrorism and terrorist cells, and it was written in the 1950s. So incest and terrorism, check out Moon is a Harsh Mistress.
All right, well, we actually had one more to go over, but I'm going to ditch that one in favor of the final topic, because we're sort of grinding down towards the latter half of our show.
Yeah, we got about like 40 minutes left. So.
The last one, obviously, was Clop Fix, and I don't think there's anything... I don't think there's... It can go either way. Either you can say we have nothing to say because we've already said it, or you can say we take every episode to talk about it.
Well, I think we can kind of go over it kind of quickly, because we could have a show talking about our fetishes later, because I'm pretty sure myself and bullshit.
That wasn't quite what I meant, but sure, if you want to do that,
it's gonna devolve. It would devolve into that.
Well, seriously,
and that could take
you just went over like bug hives and mother-son incest and that, and I'm like, okay, tell me more. So, I mean, okay, we can go over that for like 2 or 3 shows if we wanted to. But there's really nothing to say. I mean, that's
if you go into like Derpy Burrow or go on the FIM fiction, you were to count out like how many Luna, Celestia, Applejack, Big Mac, pictures and fan fiction there's quite a bit.
Yeah.
There is if you were to take the Brony fandom as a microcosm of fandoms in general and of society in general, there's a big fascination with incest.
Yeah, well, it's one of those. Yeah.
We can devote an entire episode to incest and Futanari if you want. But
odd combination there.
An incestual Futanari. But there's just one more thing I'd like to tackle before we have our cool shit segment, which I know is going to take forever because you let J-Hoof on this week.
Hi, J-Hoof.
Hey, J-Hoof.
He's been here for the last, second.
Wow, you guys are jackasses. Not you, Saley. You're nice.
Oh, and don't forget I had to do my reading of Saley's.
Oh, God, we really don't have time for that.
Okay, we can save it for next week.
Okay. We'll save it for the intro for next week.
Yeah.
The last thing I want to cover is original characters.
Oh, yeah.
We live in this community in a culture of something I like to jokingly call OC shaming. Not so much on Tumblr.
Oh, hey, he dropped out again.
Yeah, we just lost Ben.
No.
So back to the incest. Ben, are you there?
There we go. It was my microphone. What I was saying was not so much on Tumblr that you see it, but you see it a lot on Equestria Daily. You see it a lot on Pony Channel.
There goes the mic again.
You piece of shit. Fucking
Karma.
God. There we go. All right, kick J-Hoof from the call, please. So I just wanted to hear you guys' thought on what do you think of OCs? What makes a good OC? What makes a bad OC? And is our culture of OC shaming unfair, or is it not? So I'm definitely first.
Well, everybody in the Brony fandom hates OCs, and everybody in the Brony fandom has an OC. I think that's pretty safe to say. Stuff I like about OCs, or what were... This might cut out again?
It was what in your experience, what makes a passable OC and what makes a bad OC, and does that conflict with just everybody hating OCs?
I'd say what makes a good OC is if they have an interesting story. Like a good OC would just be like, okay, hey, here's a pony version of myself. He's exactly like me, blah blah blah, whatever. That's an okay OC but it's also a very very boring OC because people are boring. But if you're gonna make an entirely new character, I'd say as far as Earth Pony, Pegasus, Unicorn, and Alicorn, that doesn't really matter to me. I don't care about Alicorn OCs. If you want to have one, go ahead. It's no skin off my back. I'm not going to get offended. Color scheme. A decent color scheme is always good. It doesn't always have to be red and black. Red and black is generally pretty horrible. Backstory-wise, I'd say an interesting backstory, but not an implausible backstory, and also not a cookie-cutter backstory. We don't. It doesn't need to be. We don't. Not all OCs have to have grimdark, abusive, horrible backstories. Again, remember, you're in the My Little Pony universe. Make it interesting, just don't make it cookie cutter. Let's see. Actually, Saley, did you want to go over a couple, and then I'll think about some more?
Oh, sure. I don't mind.
Yeah. Because you're actually an artist, so you deal with OCs a lot. Way more than any of us.
He has to fucking draw OC requests, so I'm sure he's well versed in OCs.
Yeah, talk about my OC. I like it.
Your OC looks too much like Scootaloo. Like Robot Chicken, just...
Well, it is a robot chicken.
It's just an unfortunate color choice. But...
Well, that was entirely by accident.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, you know the story.
But the thing is, okay, there are a lot of things to consider. OCs, everyone has OCs. I have plenty of them. I've got several. I've got my personal one, which is Saley. And I've also...
looking at me right now.
Yeah, and I've got a bunch of others for other purposes. It really depends. One, are you going to have an OC that's just your avatar, like Saley? If that's what you want, then having an OC of yourself is fine. That's cool. All you have to make sure of is that they match your aesthetic sensibilities, that they look the way you want them to look, and that they're not garish. Okay, and that's a problem, is that a lot of people have no idea how color complements work.
What if they want them to look garish?
Then that's their choice, and that's fine. You just can't expect anybody to like it. All right?
Yeah, you just don't expect anybody to take you serious.
Right, the thing is, if you want, and you can go all the way to the opposite end to where they look like somebody vomited a paint store onto your OC. And if you want that, if that's what you want, if you want it to be ridiculous, it's like, what's the one that I think of?
Donut Steel?
No, it's a nurse in Slug Ball.
Nurse, attention...
Medical attention or something like that.
Medical attention, yeah.
Yeah. That's what they want. They want their OC to look like a freaking,
Those Trapper Keepers.
Yeah. I was trying to remember the lady's name, but it looked like one.
Laura Frank or something?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Laura Frank Trapper Keeper.
Yeah, they want them to look like that, and that's okay. But the thing is that A, don't expect anyone to take you seriously, which they don't, which is good, and two, expect it to be fucking hard to draw.
Well, it's like with medical attention. I remember when MLPR Confessions first started up, medical attention got a lot of hate for exactly those reasons. And it was like, people, don't you fucking get it? Medical attention is a joke.
Mm-hmm. That was the point,
Yeah.
And that's okay. But if you want a personal OC, just make something that you're happy with and realize that, they can be boring. They can be whatever. It doesn't matter. They're just your avatar. Okay, if you want something for RP that's different, or if you want something for a story that's different, because you have to take into account that not only, you may not necessarily even have to, if you're doing it entirely in writing, you may not even have to make them look like anything in particular, because a lot of people don't translate words to visual very well, or vice versa. So you can give a vague description. It's not really that big of a deal. Actually, if you go purple with the prose, then that pisses a lot of people off. If you spend like several pages describing your OC, you piss people off really quickly. Thing is that what you want to do is, if you have a backstory and you're going to RP it out, don't think too much about the backstory initially. Just throw them out there. And have what happens. Give a vague backstory. You can fill in the details later with details that actually make sense to the character's personality. Because if you have this whole horrid backstory and then you play the character completely differently than their backstory, nobody's going to take you seriously. Another thing, if you're doing it in writing, you have to think about all that. You have to think about it. But you don't necessarily have to tell all of it. And also, you don't have to give them a horrific backstory, like you were saying. You don't have to make it so that their parents were murdered, and that was one of the things in the Echo the Dolphin fandom that we had an issue with, is that so many people whose characters were murdered by humans in a fucking time period when humans and dolphins lived together, so there was absolutely no reason for them to murder their parents. So it used to piss everybody off when somebody pulled that out, because there's no point in it. There's no reason for it. Same thing with ponies. This is Equestria. They don't murder each other, unless that's the sort of, world that you're going for. If it's your fanfic, okay, fine. But if you're working with other people, or if you're working in Equestria, you don't have a OC that completely jars everybody out by being there. That's not this sort of anomaly of crap that's walking through the scene, which is what a lot of people have a problem with. So make it easy on the eyes. Make it sensible. Be sensible. You don't have to make it boring, but be sensible. Be considerate of your readers' sensibilities. Do what you want to do, but realize that if you make your character super awesome, or you make them to where they only have one flaw, and that flaw is tripping over stools, that everybody's going to fucking hate your characters.
Yeah. And again, I don't know what your view is on alicorns.
Oh, I don't care.
Yeah, I don't care either, as long as they're not overpowered.
If you can explain it, this thing is that Selly and Luna are like gods generally in the fiction that I read, and you have Cadence who's kind of lesser. Maybe she's up and coming. If you can explain it, if you can make it reasonable, then that's fine. But if you make it somewhere like, they can fly and use magic, but they're not really good at either. They're not very strong in either. That's okay. One tip I'd really recommend, and this is coming from somebody who actually never RPs or does any of that. One thing I would recommend if you are making an OC is go to like the Dungeons and Dragons character creation. And use that, roll a die to roll stats for your character, and just go with that, because you're not going to make an overpowered character. Mm-hmm. You're going to make a fairly average character with that, and just go with those stats. Mm-hmm. That's a good thing. That's a good thing to do. That's a good idea. I like that.
Yeah, it's just... I recommend Dungeons and Dragons just because that's what everybody uses, and it has a pretty good stat set.
It balances you so you can fit properly into a world where all the characters can be balanced. So that's actually, I never thought of it that way, but that's actually a really good way to come up with attributes for a character.
Well, it's like, actually, this is kind of weird. The idea comes from my dad, because my dad is actually really... he's retiring, and he's really getting into writing children's books, children's fantasy, and that's how he's practicing, and that's how he's making characters, is that he got my uncle's old D&D books, and he creates characters that way for his fantasy writing.
It's pretty neat, actually. I like that. Yeah. Also, since we're talking ponies, and like I said, use a fucking color wheel. God damn it.
Yeah.
Don't realize what saturation is, realize what color complements are. There are just certain colors that you don't want to put together. If you're going to have a brown OC, then don't stick like brown and red or brown and blue and shit like that. Make it like sepia tone, or make it like caramel colors or something. Make something that makes sense. Don't just stick colors together and expect it to work.
Well, it's like Microsoft, when they came out with the Zune, which was pretty much a failure. When they came out with the Zune, they came out with they announced they were coming out with a brown Zune. And everybody was like, oh, this is going to look like fucking garbage. And it came out, and it was fucking beautiful. Because they knew how to make brown look good.
Yeah, whoever the designer was knew what they were doing. That's the only thing, is that you gotta do that. And also, since we're talking ponies, cutie marks. Don't have a fucking cutie mark that looks like a frickin' Blade Blue seal. Okay?
Yeah.
Make something that's actually simple to draw.
It's got to be simple, yeah. Because you're not you don't want to go up to an artist and commission them to draw your OC only to have them go, fuck this cutie mark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been there. I've wanted to. I've never done it. But I've been sitting there like, what the fuck is this shit? What am I looking at? I don't even know what this is, you know.
I have one thing to add to this. I see so many stories passed up in the fan fiction world because they have original characters in them, or because original characters are the main character of their story. You know, and I think that's fucking criminal, because the reason we as fan fiction writers create original characters is because we want to do something and we need a character for that, but none of the canon characters fit that role. And that's when you need an original character. And so many people just pass it up because they assume it's just original character donut steal. Some jerk off from the Sonic fandom wanted to make a self-insert. And they pass it up, and they don't realize that there are stories they're passing up where the original character is the main character because they need that character to perform this role in order for them to be able to bring the other, canon characters in. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I'll wait.
Okay. And the point I'm trying to make is, my original fandom was the Redwall fandom. Now, Redwall, for those who don't know, is a book series by a recently deceased author about anthropomorphic squirrels and mice and foxes and shit like that, having this world, and it was a fantasy world, and they fought, and they had different factions, different areas, and it was very generic, formulaic fantasy. The twist was they were all animals. Now, the way Brian Jakes, that was the author's name, the way he wrote his stories was he wrote along this incredibly huge and vast timeline out of order. So there was not really a main character to the series. Well, there was one, but he was sort of a spiritual, godlike figure almost. So it kind of made sense that he was a sort of main character. But he wasn't even the main character of very many of the stories. He was just sort of a side character. And so what you had was Brian Jakes was actually world building with his story. And as a result, there were tons of characters. And so naturally, when it came to the fan fiction world, fan fictioners love world builders because they give them the world. They don't have to work with all these characters. In that fandom, many people decided they didn't want to read fan fictions that involved canon characters because they didn't care. Because the whole point of the entire series was world building. And something I found out, and because this was the first fandom I was ever in, this was the sort of mentality I adopted, which was that if you don't have an original character in that particular fandom, if you didn't have an original character in your story, nobody cared. Because nobody cared about the canon characters, because the canon characters really only appeared in one or two books, and they weren't really well developed aside from just that one book. And so if you weren't good at making original characters and you didn't make them, nobody really gave two shits about your fanfic. Because they wanted to see what you did with the world. And that was the mentality that I came from coming into the world of My Little Pony fanfiction. And all of a sudden there's this mentality that OCs are bad and we don't need them, we can't have them, everything has to be canon. And it's like this completely conflicting idea from what I was taught sort of in this other fandom where making OCs was like everybody made OCs and they loved to share OCs and they shared ideas for OCs, and it was a big part of the fanfiction world. It's not so much in this fandom, and I think that's really a shame because Faust and DHX Media have done a fantastic job in creating a world for us to fill characters with
out of their OCs.
Yeah, out of their OCs, exactly.
Well, it's like I didn't come into this fandom expecting to make an OC and everything, get into that whole scene. I just came into it expecting to enjoy the show and then eventually get into the porn. But
exactly.
Well, that's what you do with anything else except Gravity Falls. You're fucked up. But with MLP Universe, it was like, okay, so they really, really focus in on this tiny little town that has maybe 200 to 300 ponies living in it. And every once in a while they go to the capital city, which has, tens and thousands of ponies, we'll say. If we're to assume that Equestria is about the size of Earth, that leaves a shit ton of other land out there that could be filled in with pretty much whatever the fuck we want. And that's another thing I don't like about one thing I don't like about the whole OC thing is like, oh, I'm a pony, or I'm a unicorn, or I'm a Pegasus living in Ponyville. If you were to go by the OC universe, Ponyville has like fucking 40 million, has a population of like 40 million.
Just don't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. It's like there's a whole like planet out there you could fill up. And never ever be exposed to Ponyville or the goings on in Equestria. Mm-hmm. Or in Canterlot,
Yeah, there's a lot of space out there that people don't use, and it's just ridiculous. And
it's like there's that one OC I'm trying to figure out the details. I'm just gonna be like, okay, you know what? He's an heir to a tiny little like duchy on the other side of the planet. Because it's like, well, fuck, nobody else is using that side of the planet. I might as well put a little tiny kingdom there. Mm-hmm. And it's like, if people get pissed off about it, it's like, well, fuck you. How does he affect anything you're doing?
Yeah, makes sense.
But we're gonna have to wrap this up here because we've still got another segment that we have to get through, and an extra person to tack on at the end. So, by the way, Saley, you have Angel the Cat Girl in your cool shit. We've actually already mentioned her.
Sweet. Okay. Well, that just cuts down on the things that are mentioned.
You can take that one out.
But also, OC fic, if you like. I'm not going to speak much on this, but a friend of mine, Sagebrush, also an admin, he did a OC fic called In Her Majesty's Royal Service. It's about 3 Royal Guards ponies, and it's really well written.
I have read this.
Really? It's very good.
This is a good fic. This is a really good fic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Sage is a friend of mine, and I read this when he was proofreading the end of it, so I read through this. It's a really good one, and it's one of my favorites. And it shows that OCs can be done well, and it can be compelling and interesting. So if you don't believe us, then there's, you can check that out. That was
There's
very
your fucking proof. You.
Sorry.
All right, so let's move on to our final bit here in the show. This is the cool shit segment for our Celestia radio listeners rather. If you like anything you hear about during our show, including any of the fics we talked about or any of the things that we're about to talk about, we link everything we talk about in the show notes every week, and our show notes are posted with every episode post on our Tumblr blog at grandcamelotcavalcade.tumblr.com. So go give it a click, see if there's anything you like. My first piece of cool shit this week, and I'm going to try and do this as fast as I can, is chillthefout.tumblr.com. Chill the F Out is run by Cyril. Some of you know him as Cyril Rufus or Cyril Lyric. He is a musician, does a lot of metal. Chill the F Out is a Tumblr that sounds exactly what it sounds like. Chill the fuck out. It's just a Tumblr about how everyone should shut the fuck up and chill out. It's got some tips for how to chill out. It's got some hilarious pictures that say calm your shit. It's very funny. So if you need a daily reminder that you're way too involved in things or that you're way too riled up, this is the blog for you.
Perfect for SJs. Okay, on to my shit. This is an art Tumblr from a person named Kijek, or however you want to call it. It's an art Tumblr. It looks like it hasn't been around for too long. It's only 2 pages in. I really like his or her style. I'm not a big fan of Fluttershy at all, but I really like his Fluttershy just because of like the hair. And it looks like he started drawing NSFW content, so check it out. He drew a really nice Lyra and a really nice Fluttershy Rule 34. Yeah, and the rarity. Yeah, really big fan of the hair. So,
Follow.
all right, follow. Yes, follow. Okay, Saley.
Let's see. I have for this week. I have Ask the Philly bots. Basically, it's a Ruby bot and a Dinky bot, who were created by this other sort of scientist, sort of unicorn mechanic, and he has constructed the Philly bots, and they're answering questions, and it's really cute. And basically, I think it was based on Ruby Pinch's Ruby bot. If you know the Ruby Pinch Tumblr.
Yeah.
So that was, I guess, the inspiration for this. But it's really cute, and it just started out. So if you're interested, go ahead and check it out. Not really much for the art style. I mean, it's the basic, flat lined art style, but show style stuff. But it's fun. So I liked it. I wanted to put that up there.
All right, Jay.
That goes on to me. My first cool shit is Jock's Lair, and he's been getting a lot of spotlights on Tumblr lately because of his vinyl scratch drawings. You've probably seen New Clock.
Oh god, fucking background music.
Yeah, that's really the only problem I have with this Tumblr. Other than that, the guy's really cool. I really love the art style. Draws a lot of NSFW work and a lot of vinyl scratch. Like, that's pretty much a majority of his work, and he looks like he needs a lot more followers, so I suggest people go follow him.
There's a lot of Rayman, not Rayman himself, the fairies from Rayman.
Yeah.
So
there's a couple of them, and a couple Pokemon pictures, but it's mostly Pony.
Yeah. All right.
And I'm done.
All right.
And bullshit?
It's just...
And he's not here. Okay. Where are you in bullshit?
Come in bullshit. Come in.
All right, moving on.
You piece of shit. There we go.
Loud and clear, over.
There we go.
All right. And bullshit, hurry.
God, motherfuckers. There we go. Okay. I think I'm back. Okay.
All right, your turn.
Okay. My next piece of cool shit this week is the MLP Promotions Tumblr, and it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a Tumblr it's an aggregate Tumblr that dedicates itself to finding things that need more attention. So it's basically like our cool shit segment, but all day, every day. From music to fan art to fanfics, just about everything. They also have a Not Safe for Work blog, which I'll link later, for all of you who like porn and gore, and mostly porn.
All right, my next thing is this Tumblr called Pirate Rarity. It just started up. Might die pretty soon.
It will.
It looks like the guy's pretty new at drawing, or at least he hasn't hammered down like adding like filters and a lot of detail into his artwork yet. But he's got a promising start. It's Rarity. She's semi-anthro. She's a pirate, and she wears crotchless, assless chaps.
I'm okay with that.
And she's seducing Pirate Rainbow Dash, who...
I'm mad about that.
Yeah. So yeah, check it out. It looks like it could go somewhere. Probably won't.
They'll get Cutlass to the heart.
Yeah, so... Alright, Bailey.
Okay, let's see. I have the Protected Apple Bloom Tumblr, and what that is, it's basically based on the story of the Blanks, what happened to Apple Bloom if she didn't make it out of the forest. So it's got a really neat art style, and it's just started out. It's slowed down just a little bit, but I do like the way it looks, and I like the grimdark tumblers. I think they're really neat looking, and it's sort of an alternate universe thing, which is always fun to see. That and Zombified Apple Bloom is really cute. So, check that out, and see if you like it. Hopefully it will continue. Like I said, it's slowed down a little bit, but hopefully it will continue, and they do take asks. They don't really take asks. They give you options. A percent chance, or you can do this or do that. You have to send in your choices, and then they pick from whoever got the most or whatever. So it's neat. Just check it out. That's protected-applebloom.tumblr. Protected-applebloom.tumblr.com. So yeah, it's you, J-Hoof.
All right. I don't normally promote RP tumblers, but this is from a good friend of mine, Miranda. She does a Starbolt RP tumbler, and she actually has a pretty decent character in my opinion. And I've also included the link to her mod blog, so if you want to go on and harass her with horribly sexual questions, go do it.
Oh, this is that one that you've been creeping on like all week, right?
Yeah, isn't she like 15 years old and you're trying to like bang her or something?
I'm not Ben. She's 20. She's about to be 21 in a couple of days. So
all right.
There.
All right, whatever.
You're not Sigma.
Whatever you choose to believe.
This is what keeps me going. And that's my last bullshit, so it's probably the last you'll be hearing of me.
All right, Ben.
Is Rainbow... Am I not coming through?
Yes.
Coming through.
Okay.
Now you're
Jesus fucking...
Now you're not
there he goes. Wait, I got him.
All right.
Come on, Ben.
All right.
You can do it.
All right.
Go.
Check. All right. So my last piece of cool shit this week is the Rainbow Clops art Tumblr. It's the artist Rainbow Clop, and he does, or she, or whatever, does anthro. Yeah, it's anthro. Art, very cute. Puts the boobs in the wrong or right place depending on who you are. And they're also fairly new, so maybe we'll kill them by keeping them.
Yeah.
But I don't know what, this week we've just been pimping a lot of new blogs. Whatever. But yeah, it's just Rule 34, and they have a cute, shiny anthro art style that's very entertaining.
He did a really nice Luna.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, my last thing. Finally getting around to it. I've been meaning to expose this. I don't know if it's really pimping, more or less expose this Tumblr
And we're out of
to the
time.
world. It's all in Russian, but from what I can make of it, this dude has an obsession with vor, using all orifices and cell phones.
What?
And not just like I'm talking about like old cell phones, like Nokia's, Motorola StarTACs. Just, I don't understand it. It's like every picture he draws, there's a fucking like Nokia Motorola StarTAC in there, and it's just so weird. It's so Russian.
This is strange.
We had to.
Hell, there's a picture of Twilight getting fucked with a Nokia.
We need to go deeper.
I think that's what the guy's trying to do.
You know what we need to do? We need to get Sinad in here. We need to get Sinad. He's Lithuanian. Lithuania used to be a part of Russia. He might be able to figure this out.
Might be able to decode this.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, he could do that, right? I mean,
Be the next case of Charles
Makes
Dexter
sense.
Ward.
yeah, sure.
Uh,
I'm honestly kind of scared right now. Holy shit, this guy has a lot of cell phones.
this is weird. This is very...
Oh my god, yeah, he's got like 800 cell phones and like 50 My Little Pony figurines on his cabinets. And the cabinet looks like he stole it from a fucking antique store. Wow. He's got military cell phones.
That's weird.
I mean, not military cell phones, just military phones.
Yeah.
Jeez. I used to own that phone that he has like glued to his fucking stairwell.
Mm-hmm.
All the ones in there. I think, yeah, it's the one being stabbed with a knife. I used to own a phone like that. So. I kind of wanted to stab it with a knife a few times. Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. Okay, that's a weird motherfucker. I don't think he speaks a lick of English either.
Probably not. I don't see any.
Yeah, I don't see. He gets asks that are in English, and he responds in Russian. So.
No.
Well,
You
there's
might
a couple
understand
things I saw that were in English, but
I kind of want to throw this into Google Translate and see what spits out. We got about 4 minutes left. Why don't you send this out?
Oh, well, no. Go ahead.
Wait, do what? Huh?
Yeah, you didn't do Pet Dash.
Oh shit! I totally forgot about Pet Dash. Really quick, Pet Dash is made by Smithy G. It's based on the character she made of Rainbow Dash as a pet. I'm plugging it right now. I may resend my plug later on, depending on where this Tumblr goes. But right now, I'm giving it my okay. It looks like it's sort of along the same line as Futashai, but it's just Rainbow Dash. There's no humans present. There's a human present, but you don't actually see him or her.
well, there's caricatures of humans. Of one.
Yeah. It looks like the mod has the potential to be one of the first I've ever seen to tastefully and at least semi-accurately depict a pet-master relationship.
Yeah.
We'll have to see.
And basically what I'm saying is if this goes down the route of Fluttershy, of Futashai, I'll probably rescind it from my list of cool shit. But we'll have to wait and see what happens. So, yeah. So, anyway, we're done. Did you want to send this out and bullshit?
Yeah, I'll get us. So, you've been listening to the Grand Cavalcade in Color, a Gentle Cults podcast for sophisticated bronies. If you're interested in anything at all that we do, we have show notes where we link everything that we talk about, and you can find our show notes on our podcast Tumblr at grandcanalotcavalcade.tumblr.com. Your hosts this week were MDefMech and Bullshit. You can find MDefMech at www.mdefmech.com. That's EMDFMEK. You can find Bullshit at mbulsht.tumblr.com. Our fantastic guest this week was Salient Sunbreeze, whom you can find at salientsunbreeze.tumblr.com. And our guest host that never seems to fucking leave, J-Hoof is here. You can find J-Hoof at jhoof.tumblr.com. You can also find his fantastic Rowdy Rough Bronies podcast at eowdyroughbronies.podomatic.com.
I paid him to say that.
We'll see you all on the flip side.
All right, we're done.
All right.
catchy.